could have said, you know what, no, I don't want to, and you're not my advisor. And I could have said all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then she couldn't have done anything about it and could have created a divide with our relationship.
Welcome back to the show, fam. It's been quite a journey, Shan. Like, we're still
Yes, it has.
exercising an abundance of caution. So again, I guess by now you guys have gotten used to the look of the show. We are in two separate spaces, but that still does not stop us from bringing you some interesting and exciting guests to talk on some very valuable topics.
Yes, we spoke with Alvin a few episodes ago about the importance of money, estate planning, budgeting, and now he's joining us today with his beautiful partner, Candace, to speak to us a little bit about money and how that impacts a relationship or how that works within a relationship and coming together. Tam and I are excited. Two beautiful people, and they have a wealth of information to share with us. So have fun, viewers. Tam and I are rocking our head ties today in recognition of Black History Month. So we have so much good information to share with you. Have fun and continue to stay tuned to like and subscribe and to share our video.
So welcome back, Alvin, and welcome, Candace.
Hello.
Absolutely gorgeous, both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I didn't know nobody's ever told me I'm gorgeous before.
I think it's Candace that did the trick today. What do you say? So we just want to thank both of you for taking the time to join us on our platform. We started talking to Alvin a few episodes ago about money. And we thought that together you guys would add another relevant and important layer to the conversation. And so today, as you know, we're talking about money in relationships. And as we do with all of our guests, we want to hear a little bit about you guys. So can you tell us how you met, how long you've been together? Just tell us a little bit about that story.
We got two different versions, so let her go first.
That's always the case.
Okay, so so for we've been together for about 2.5 years now. And the way we met, my mom, because he's in the financial industry, and so am I, but in the beginning, he came to my house. My mom actually had gone to a workshop, and because she wanted more information on how she can, fix her finances and to learn more. So she's like, you know what, can you come over when people are allowed to come over to your house? Can you come over and, talk to my family about our finances? And, her mom ended up coming home and she's like, this gentleman is going to be coming to your house. And I'm like, because there's because for me, I'm 38 years old and I had a lot of shame about where I was at. I always wanted to be the rock that created that ripple effect to change the direction of where my family was, right? And where it needed to be. And, at that age, I found that I wasn't getting there quickly enough.
Right.
Or, because I was still working paycheck to paycheck. I had a bit of debt and I just wanted to be able to change that. But I had a lot of shame knowing that somebody was going to come and see me,
right.
And I would be exposed, right? So he ended up coming and, I learned so much in that 1 hour that I was like, you know what, I know so many people who need this information and I want to be a part of this. But it wasn't initially
well,
oh my God.
She says that, but I think it's
I thought he was very handsome. He's very handsome. But, in my mind, I wasn't really thinking about
Right.
relationships and
Yeah.
I want to, that
Yeah.
wasn't the situation at hand, and I just, he's about to, see all my business, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, does he want to be with somebody like this? So yeah, that's how we got together. So as we as he was teaching me all this like financial information and how to do certain things and how to create the dream that I needed that I wanted for myself, and to help my family, because that's what I wanted to do, and the people that are close to me. We got closer, and our conversation started to change, and our dreams became like, okay, what do you see for yourself? What do you want for your family? And we could possibly do this together. Like, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. But you said it right. Okay, so I'll give you credit. You did a good job.
Alvin is saying the true story then.
Yes. On the Shan and Tam show.
Funny thing is, we found out later that her mom really invited me over to meet Candace, right?
Mommy, a matchmaker. Mommy is a matchmaker.
I've been fasting and praying.
Yes. I like mommy.
Yeah, I
know. But like when I went over, like she said it right. Like it wasn't like this whole, we're gonna be together, or like, obviously I thought she was very pretty, and we sat across the kitchen table. It was me, her mom was there.
Actually, I wasn't even at the table.
Actually, no, she wasn't at the table.
I was like,
I went into the house, and funny thing is, I go to the house and she's sitting on the couch, and her mom's waiting for me at the table, and it was actually pretty awkward because she wasn't expecting me to come to the house. She was expecting, she had this other image of who was coming to the house.
When you think of financial advisors, you think of like
an older gentleman.
Somebody else,
Yeah.
An older gentleman, like thick glasses. I don't know,
Yeah.
So basically, she actually went to her bedroom. She was getting ready and everything, and I was talking to her mom, and then she didn't really come to the table. She was listening from afar. And she was actually getting ready to leave. So she came to the table, we sat down, and she actually said, can I get involved? And it wasn't about like getting together. It was more just, let me coach her and train her.
Right.
But then as we started talking more, spending more time together, like the late night conversations turned into like morning, like, you're in a relationship in the beginning, it's all like late night to like wee hours of the morning. And I'm like, so this is a work relationship. What's going on here, right?
None of your other
we started
at like 1 a.m.
Nope. But then,
I didn't even know he liked me, to be honest. I was just like, I think he's I was just like, I think he's super professional.
Yeah. It had to be, because you didn't want anything. I was a bit worried, because I'm like, if anything goes wrong, then not only am I gonna it's not gonna work out, but then it's gonna create a ripple effect of challenge. So eventually it worked out, and now we're here together over 2 years now. So
congratulations.
Hey.
Congratulations. That's an amazing story. But one thing you said, Candace, from what you spoke about, was that element of safety and being transparent in relationships, because you said that I had so much information regarding my debt situation, my finances, and was he ready for this? And finances is a big issue within relationships. Yes, it can either make it or break it. Now that you're here in your relationship, when did you guys started talking intimately about money within your relationship as a couple?
Well, for
when
me,
did you approach that topic?
He knew my business right away. Right? Because he's my financial advisor, right? So he understood exactly where I was at, and he helped me create a path of, to get out of the situations that I was in. So,
for me, it took a little bit longer. It was just same thing, like safety, comfort, a lot of times, and because I know we talked in the last YouTube, that a lot of times people, there's this trust, right? Trust is a huge thing in money, right? I mean, she was kind of obligated to open up to me because I was becoming her financial advisor. But for me now, it's like, okay, I got to open up to her. It was a comfort level, right? To in the relationship side of things, because she's not my financial advisor, so there's no reason for me to divulge that information. So it took some time, but we're talking about money from the beginning because like we always wanted, at least I know for me, and then we came together on this, but we always wanted to be good with money. We didn't want money to be a relationship issue because we've seen, like, I know I've seen over the last 12, 13 years of being in the industry, majority of the issues that people have is money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And when that's fixed, then everything else can be good, or at least be better.
Right.
Because of having that conversation.
Right.
So I always wanted to, we talked about it early, we talked about it often.
Yeah. We still do.
We still do. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a regular, like, we have our set times that we discuss, but it's not like, oh, today's not the day to talk about finances.
Yeah.
Like, it comes up on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
Okay, which is good. And I guess like the other question we have, like, what are some of the things you talked about, right? But I think you guys already say it's an ongoing conversation about money that you guys already have with each other. It's not that it's you're being ambiguous regarding your finances,
Yeah.
right?
Well, in the beginning, I don't know if, like, you can probably comment to this too, but we didn't talk, like, when you say intimately, it wasn't like, oh, this is my financial situation. It was more understanding where we were coming from mentally with money. Right. So we talked a lot about, like, building a legacy. We talked about like what we wanted for our finances for our future versus where we were currently at. Right. You know, things
was conscious, I think, but consciously working towards that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's great to dream about those things, but if you're not consciously working towards that, it's forever going to be a wish. And that's not what we wanted, because we both come from, you know, like our parents taught us hard work, and you know, we both have that drive to be better. But you know, we wanted to obviously change the way we wanted to create a legacy, and that's not, I think that's not spoken about often enough.
Right.
Even like individual goals. Like, I know in the beginning we talked about, like, well, what do you want? what do you really want out of your life, right? I know she asked me that, I asked her that, and we talked about it, and that it really showed each other where we were coming from and where we really want to go, and if we were aligned going in that same direction. Because like, if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go, I want to travel, I want to, you know, live this lavish life, but I'm not right now, I'm in so much debt, I'm this, and I'm not responsible. That's one thing. But if it's like, okay, we want to buy a house, we want to you know, we want to be debt-free, live a debt-free life. We want to travel, but we don't want to travel on credit. We want to travel knowing that, okay, when we come back, we're not going to be stressed out for the next 5 years.
Right.
We want it to be good. So we asked each other those goals, and we were thinking about, like, when we pass away, what do we want to leave behind? Right. What that generational wealth kind of conversations, right? So those are the things we really talked about.
I think too, you made a great point that, you know, as individuals, I feel like I just know how I was in past relationships. As soon as you get into a relationship, you forget about your own dreams and your goals, and you just become the other person, and it's vice versa. But I think it's so important to understand, because we're all, I'm God-fearing, and we're both God-fearing, so we're here for a purpose. Every single person is here for a purpose, and it'll be a disservice if we don't, you know, find out and work towards that purpose and goal, right? And together as a unit, we also have a purpose. So, you know, it's very, very important to discuss, what is your goal? How can I help you achieve that? What is my goal? How can you help me achieve that? And and together, okay, how are we working towards that? I don't think that's discussed enough in relationships. And, you know, because I know that in my past relationships, I've let my feelings, my dreams and stuff go because I wanted to make another person happy. But if I'm not happy, if the other person is not happy, as individuals, as a whole person, then as a couple, you're not going to work.
Absolutely.
It's going to be hard to we're happy together.
If I could sum it up in one analogy, it's like we're both driving in two different lanes, but we've got to go in the same direction. Right.
That is amazing.
That it can't be, we're not driving in the same lane, obviously we drive differently, but we have to go, at least be going in the same place. Right. So
the goals have to be aligned And that's what
Yes.
Yes.
going over in my head, that you can have different wants, or things that you are looking forward to individually, but somehow you have to find a way to make that connected. And it seems as if
Yes.
also you guys had the same way of thinking, possibly about money, which kind of leads me into my next question. Much like the love languages, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
People have a money language, right? And it's
Yes.
not counted as one of the love languages, but I'm curious to know about how that what that's like for the both of you. Do you seem to have the same money language, or is it different? And how do you deal with the differences if it's different? Or what are the benefits of having the same money language?
I think I definitely had a different one coming in. I had a different money language, right? I was coming from a person who worked paycheck to paycheck, and he is a person who deals with money all the time. So for me, I come from I didn't have a finance background or anything like that. I came from a household. My mom she drilled into me, she's a feminist, woman power. You be a strong Black woman, like you know what I mean? Like, you work for what you want, you go get it, and if you're stagnant, it's like stagnant. Mediocrity is not an option. So to come into a relationship where, I now I'm in a relationship with a human being that is like has a different money language than I do. I have to learn now to communicate the way he does,
Right.
because that's the way I also want to be able to communicate that way.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay. And that was a huge lessons for me, hard lessons, because I'm like, I can do this and this, I can do this. I don't need, I can do, all of that other stuff. But, sometimes you have to humble yourself and take and open yourself up to be vulnerable, and not let fear actually sidetrack you, because on the other side of fear is like the possibilities.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I allowed the possibilities.
Even the thing is, like, I know for me, I've been doing this for a long time, right? And I had to learn some hard lessons along the way too. So even with her coming in where she was, like, I had a different language than her. My language is very similar to her when I started on this journey too. Right? It's just that it's like running a race, right? Like, I was a little bit further in the race, but I can't just forget where I came from, right? So, like, coming into it, that's why we had the conversations early, because I'm like, we need to have these talks on a regular basis, so we're meeting each other exactly at the same place. But it also too is being patient with people too, because like, I know where she was coming from, but also knew where we could go together.
Right.
So it wasn't like, oh, you're terrible and this and that. Because even like, I've made a bunch of mistakes. Like, I'm not perfect at all. I still make mistakes. But we have to be like we were different but the same. Like, I don't know. It's just that I was a little bit further on the journey. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to. I had to maybe, I shouldn't say slow down, but just say, come, let's go.
He had a rope that he screwed on.
Come, let's go together.
To allow me to catch up to him, So yeah.
That's good.
I know.
Yes, that's good. And I love what you said, Alvin, right? It's what you guys can do together as a unit, as a couple, right? It's not about any condemnation or shame. But it's what you guys can do together, which leads us to the next question. Accountability is a big thing, especially with finances, money, and relationships. I know that you guys have talked a lot about you having money conversation, but have there ever been situations where one had to check the other? What you guys had to be accountable to each other, and how were you able to handle this?
Yes, this constant checking.
Before you talk about your checking, let me talk about my checking. Well, let me define check-in first.
Yes, define check-in for us.
Yeah.
So there's checking where it's like aggressive checking.
Yeah.
But then there's checking where it's like understanding checking, right? Like even the other day we were buying something and like we have big goals and financial goals and she's like, we're looking at some furniture and we're online and she's like, oh, this one costs this much, this one costs this much. And I knew which one she was gonna like, right?
Like, it's so pretty.
So I said to her, I said, hey, that's nice, but do you wanna buy this house or do you wanna buy this piece of furniture, right?
You know, sometimes you slip back into your old ways.
Right? So
Sometimes.
she got it. But I don't know if you have a story you want to share with them. But that was me checking her in a nice way.
You know, something because we discussed that he is also, someone who understands how money works, but also, even in that position, people also need to be checked. So, maybe maybe in the beginning,
maybe about a year.
In the first year.
Yeah, in the first year.
So I was complaining about, where is my money going? Every time I look, my money gone, and he's like, okay, let's do an exercise. I'm like, I don't like to exercise. I don't do this exercise. So he's like, okay, let's do this exercise where what I want you to do is look at your bank statement, not bank statement, look at your account. And for the last 3 months, I want you to write down every single thing that you purchased.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But how important is that to do that? You're seeing exactly your money blueprint, where your money is going for the last 3 months. Where it's going. And I realized very quickly where my money was going on nonsense. Right? So maybe a couple days later, my friend over here, so I figured out he helped me work through that situation, but he was also like, hey, where's my money going? And I was like, well, listen, let's do an exercise. And let's look at your 3 months. Let's look at the last 3 months of where your money's been going. And we wrote out every single place of everything that he's been spending his money on. And it doesn't matter what area of or what place you are in life or your money blueprint, you need to check yourself sometimes to really see, okay, everybody has to get up a check-in. You go to the doctor to get checked up, you go wherever, you get a checkup. You need to do that with your money too. Absolutely. Where are you spending your money?
I remember the number. I remember the number that stood out to me very like it was yesterday, right? And we were in a restaurant.
We're in a restaurant. We're like, you're not leaving until
we're not leaving until do this. And that moment, I had a decision to make. Okay? Right. And I'll just be honest with you, it was like, take the red pill or the blue pill. And I could have said, you know what, no, I don't want to, and you're not my advisor, and I could have said all sorts of things. And then she couldn't have done anything about it and could have created a divide with our relationship. Right. I was like, you know what am I really hiding? Right. So we sat down and she wrote down everything, and I mean everything. And one of the numbers that stood out was I think it was $1,200 on just eating out. Right.
Oh wow.
And that was like going out on dates. That was like just eating on the road, whatever. And it hit me. I'm like, you guys probably heard like mechanics. Their cars are always kind of busted up. Their construction workers, their house is always under construction, right? So usually it's so easy to go tell other people, but then when it comes to yourself, right, it's not easy. Right. So I know that actually brought us closer together than it did to divide us. And now that kind of created the open conversation, the dialogue to talk about money more often. And then I think right after that, we started being more like budgeting with the things that we do together. It was like, okay, you know what? Let's have a certain amount that we're going to go on dates. Let's save for a big date. Let's have little dates, but let's save for the big one together and plan for it versus just like, okay, let's just splurge. And not be irresponsible with it, right?
That's when we created, because every Saturday is a mandatory date night. Like the non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if it's with people or alone. We're gotta be together because we're both busy. But if you don't even check yourselves, and keep yourselves, aligned,
Mhm.
then your relationship can get lost also. So I think, and that's where we were saying, I think because we were doing little dates here and there during the week, and that's where also where a lot of money was being spent. But if we allot it to one day where it's like, okay, we're going to be splurging today on this thing, or we're going to go here, there, wherever, it's a little bit more structured as opposed to just spending money frivolously.
Right.
And it's not like it wasn't a black and white situation.
Yeah, but
right. Like there was a lot of gray area, but because we had that foundation, it made it easy to say, okay, we can make this exception here, make an exception there. So when it came to spend money on big things, spending money on the big things became exciting because like we planned towards this. Right. Versus just spending money all the time. Like, oh, where did all our money go? And then now we're fighting about how we don't have any money.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, there were a few things here that you talked about, like just the level of honesty and vulnerability.
Yes.
That brings a level of, which Shan mentioned earlier, trust, right, into the relationship. That really helps to build that bond and to strengthen the relationship going forward. So that's awesome. And so I don't know if at this point you have some aspects or any aspect of your finances merged, but what does that look like? How do you approach that in terms of merging finances on certain things? So fam, I'm sure you've been enjoying the conversation as much as we have. Aren't they a beautiful couple with such a wealth of information to share? We're going to leave it right here for today, and we're going to pick up the conversation with Alvin and Candace next time. Until then, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Like and share the videos, fam, and visit us on all our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook as well. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.